Hello once again, Warren here with the Peach State Prime Transformers channel, and feel like it's been a while since I've gotten to do a new figure review video, but I get to do one now, and that is Transformers Studio Series, Transformers the movie, Kranix. So I pre-ordered this guy the day he went up on Hasbro Pulse, and finally got him. I was out of town last week. Of course, he was coming in the mail then, so he was held, and then I finally got him. So far, gotta say I like this guy, but, you know, is he the figure we wanted for Kranix? Let's find out. Alright, so let's take a look at this robot mode first. Let me just say that Hasbro nailed it. This guy looks incredible. Probably one of the best. I mean, this is the first real Kranix figure we've gotten. Yeah, I know there was a little minifigure, which I don't have, that came with the Quintesson Pit of Judgment San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. At least I think it was a Comic-Con exclusive. But anyways, that exclusive set. But this is the real figure that actually stands in scale with the rest of your Generations or Studio Series figures. And I'll give you a little bit of a 360 here. And he looks absolutely amazing, which I know echoes a lot of other feedback I've seen on this figure. There's the thing that's amazing. He does transform. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. But I don't think I have seen a Transformer. And again, I know he's from Lithone, not Cybertron. He's still considered a Transformer. That has been this clean. There's no kibble. Like, and again, kibble being, you know, those, you know, random pieces that hang off the body, you know, from the alt mode. There's none of that. He is extremely clean. He does come with this little gun, which I don't think was featured in the movie. However, you know, it also kind of looks like a little, like, gas handle almost. But, you know, gotta give him a little gun. You know, it could even be like a soldering gun, I guess. Because he was, I believe, a scientist on Lithone, as we saw in the beginning of the movie. One thing I did not do on purpose that I think is absolutely cool is, you know, in the background, as you always probably see, there's Unicron overlooking Kranix here. And, of course, you know, Kranix's world of Lithone was, destroyed by Unicron in the very opening moments of Transformers the movie. Couple other call-outs. I think the colors are dead on this. I don't see where they could ever improve on this figure. We'll probably get a repaint of this as a Arbalest, which of course was his scientist partner in those opening moments, who did not survive, I know, spoiler alert, did not survive Unicron's attack or devouring of his planet. But you know, we did have Kranix here, made it, eventually ended up on planet Quintessa, and was executed by the Quintessons and their Sharkticons. I think the thing that is most impressive, beyond just the whole sculpt here, I love the head here. You know, his little, I don't know, we'll call those, you know, forehead or whatever, brow, but, you know, you have that, that's all sculpted there, and just that shape, that classic shape we know from the movie. The head, the eyes, I like how they look almost like a glow-in-the-dark color. Light piping, I think, would not have looked good on this figure, so I'm glad they avoided it. Of course, it is Studio Series. I don't think we get much of that with this. You can, and I believe this is a product, because I have not transformed this figure on my own yet. But you can kind of open his mouth here, which I think that's just a byproduct from the transformation. But just something kind kind of fun, you know. You can kind of see him, come on, focus, 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 focus. You know, it's almost like he's screaming. Even though he does have another molded mouth, so... but again, just a dead-on representation. And frankly, again, we're going to talk about that transformation here and show you what the alt mode looks like. But I wouldn't even care if this figure transformed or not. It's a cool action figure and does what I need it to do just in this mold all on its own. But, you know, let's do, before we get into the alt mode too much, let's do some comparisons. And I thought it would only be fair to show him with two other characters that were also on Quintessa. So we have the original Studio Series 86 Legends class or Core class Wheelie. And you see, you know, Kranix does tower over him, as he should, because Wheelie is a little mini car and a very young mini car, young character to begin with. Then, one of the characters he actually interacts with, focus, man, on Quintessa is Hot Rod. And I think this is pretty cool. This is the Target exclusive More Than Meets the Eye Studio Series Hot Rod. And you see they're generally about the same height. Hot Rod is just a tiny bit taller. I mean, the spoiler, yes, but, you know, the head as well. But I think they scale very well together for, you know, when we see them in the film together. So I think that's awesome. The thing, speaking of size, I was very impressed with just how big and chunky Kranix was. When I took him out of the box, I really don't know what I expected as far as size, but he was taller, it just overall bigger than I just was expecting for some reason. So, gotta say, I'm very pleased with, again, not only how this figure looks, but also his scaling with the other Transformers, you know, from the Studio Series line. And of course, you know, Generations, you know, we all mix them together. Don't pretend like you don't. But anyways, let's get into the alt mode here. All right, here we have Kranix in alt mode. And what an alt mode it is. So, you know, you see there's not much to it. You do have his head right in the front, which is something I normally, you know, knock points off for and everything. And before we go any further, you know, if you're not aware, first off, Kranix never transforms in Transformers the movie. Neither does Arbalest or anyone from the planet Lithone. Now, that is true. However, back in 1986, Hasbro did indeed do a Transformers the movie comic book adaptation. And in that adaptation, there were character profiles that were created and later released under the banner of Transformers Universe as collected issues. And in there, Hasbro had a bio for Kranix, as well as Arbalest, and in those profiles, they included images of an unseen alt mode. In that unseen alt mode, well, Arbalest may not have been in there, I can't remember, but Kranix definitely was. And the unseen alt mode that they featured looks a lot like this. So Hasbro did their homework, which, you know, you would hope they would, and came up with this alt mode. Now, again, it's not much of anything. It's kind of an alien, spaceship, plane, seeker, fighter, whatever. You know, the head's right there. usually I don't like alt modes like this. You know, even while I was transforming it, it's like, oh, well, they just made that up along the way, didn't they? But the truth is, number one, it is based on that concept art I just spoke about. Number two, Kranix and his race, as I said earlier and repeatedly, they're not Cybertronians. They're not from the planet Cybertron. Therefore, there's no need for them to have the exact types of transformations or aesthetic as those from Cybertron do, despite still being Transformers. And, you know, robots that can, excuse me, transform into an alt mode. So therefore, you know, his face being right there, and, you know, it just looking kind of like some sort of abstract vehicle, fine. That's a characteristic of the robots and characters from the planet Lithone. So I give it a pass there. And based on that and its source material, what they're homaging here, I say this works. Now, on the flip side, as I said right before showing the alt mode, I'm probably just going to keep them in that robot mode, because that's what everybody, including myself, knows him from. And frankly, that's what I've heard everyone's going to do. And it would have just been a great action figure without an alt mode. It being a Transformer, Hasbro is going to give us one. And I think they did the best, because anything else would have left so much kibble that that robot mode would have suffered. But they gave us something that was pre-existing, and they did a great job executing it. So I give them huge points for that. One thing that was really fun, you know I just said that it felt like some of the transformation was kind of made up. Well, that is true. Going back to there not really being any kibble on this figure, I was very pleasantly surprised when the instructions told me, oh, hey, there's another fin here. Pull that up, or here, or here. I didn't even see those. The figure was so clean. Like, usually you see where something's going to move on a Transformer. I kept being surprised along the way, even to get to, this end result. So, just, hinges that I didn't even know were there were uncovered, which, again, just really speaks volumes to how good that that robot mode is on this figure. And, it's a fun, kind of alt mode as well, even if it doesn't look like anything, Earthbound or anything we actually saw on screen. All right, just a few final thoughts about Kranix here. Again, well done, Hasbro. They got the proportions right, got this huge, head sculpt on him, but, that's in, part of the character's physical attributes. They did a great job making a Transformer that is from another world and just not your everyday Cybertronian. So they did a great job there, and they did a great job translating that character into not only an action figure, but one that actually still does transform. So, gotta say, very happy with it. I can't wait till they redo it as Arbalest, which we all know they're going to do. Frankly, even if they wanted to start making up characters from the planet Lithone with this mold, with some redecoing and retooling, I'd pick them up. I'd make a whole shelf of just Lithonians. I guess that's what they would be. Even those little, little kid ones that they showed running through that, like, mall-type area in the beginning. So, again, very cool. Very good job, Hasbro. I think definitely a standout figure from the, especially when we're talking Studio Series, something really translated from screen to figure, just, definitely one of those standouts there. All right, so that's going to do it for this video. Do you have Kranix, or maybe thinking about getting him? Leave a comment in the comment section what your at least initial thoughts are about this figure. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, kind of going over both modes here and kind of my thoughts, you know, feel free to give it a like here on YouTube. And of course, subscribe to the Peach State Prime Transformers channel for more videos like this, whether it be reviews or discussions on upcoming releases or just anything else related to Transformers and, you know, just some fun videos out there. You know, subscribe so you don't miss any of those. If you like other fun videos on YouTube, I also have my original channel, simply just called Peach State Prime. Over there, I do cover, you know, just all sorts of fun videos, whether it's travel vlogs, going to special events, amusement parks, tourist attractions, fun places to eat and shop, including conventions when I get a chance to go there. That's all covered on that channel, so feel free to give it a like and maybe even consider subscribing there. Anyways, again, I do want to thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. Hope you have a great day, and God bless.